I always used to be the guy in school that was buried in my books. I was a hard worker. Studying and education was kind of drilled into my identity by my family, my parents, but the people around me, especially in the Desi community, you know? If I wasn't studying, I'd feel guilty. If I didn't do well on my exams, it was because I didn't put enough hours in. And I know that so many of you think the exact same way. But as inconceivable as it may sound, in order to improve your grades, in order to level up, you need to be able to learn to study smarter and faster. So in this video, I'm gonna go through the three main pillars. This is everything that a beginner needs to know to study smarter. The first main pillar that we need to talk about is understanding, comprehension, encoding of the information. Don't even lie, every single one of you has been guilty of trying to force yourself to just sit there and memorize the information that you need to know. Banking out flashcards, writing the things that you need to know again and again and again, just trying to force yourself to cram the information. Yes, if you want to spend your whole day doing this, it does work, but if you were to be asked this information, even a couple days from now, I can almost guarantee that you would not be able to remember 99% of it. Encoding and linking in the new knowledge that you're learning to the wider mental picture, to the pre-existing knowledge in your head, like creating a bridge between the new information that you're learning to all the old pieces of information within your head. This is the first easiest step that you can take to become smarter with the way you study. Don't get me wrong, there's no magic way of understanding. You're gonna have to go through the content one way or the other. But instead of just reading it line by line, make it a process. Read a section, ask yourself questions about it, cover the page while you try and formulate an answer and piece things together. That in itself will open up the way you think about the specific topic. Right, okay, so questioning your understanding of what you just read, that's one way to encode. The other ways can be you drawing out the cycle that you just learned, or you watching a video to visualize what's happening to the molecule in the reaction, or you maybe Google things a bit more and read it on a different site, get a different perspective. All of these things make it an active process of understanding rather than some wishy-washy process of you just trying to reread the same line again and again, trying to force yourself to memorize it. Now, I know firsthand that quizzing yourself after reading every bit of information doesn't feel natural, and it probably feels like it's gonna slow you down quite a bit. Especially if you have a big exam coming up or if you have a deadline, slowing down right now just feels like a bad idea. But I want you to experiment for a couple hours, because I experimented, and what I found was that when I would quiz myself, cover the text with one hand, and then think about what I've just read, when I would watch a video beside the reading of the content, it would just speed up the learning process, because I would absorb so much more information in that one sitting compared to me having to just reread the same thing again and again over the next few days. It's because when you quiz yourself, when you watch videos, when you question the content that you're reading and try and understand it in different ways, you're allowing your brain to connect the dots between the information and encode it. You just end up picking up the information easier, faster at the very first go through. But even after we understand it the first time, our brains don't actually remember that information. They don't learn best through consuming. They learn best with creation, with doing. And that's why the second pillar is active testing. Have you ever read something and go like, yeah, I get it, and then remembered it forever? No, there's more to learning than just rereading the same page 7 times. The research says that the process of learning requires 3 steps: encoding, storing, and retrieval. The way I think about it is that we step 1 encode and step 2 store the information through understanding, through visualizing, through linking it with the bigger picture, like we just said in the previous step. But the way you remember it, retain it, the way you make it stick is by testing yourself, forcing your brain to take that information out. After years of incorporating testing techniques into my revision, I can confidently say that the times I did that top percent level in my exams can be directly correlated with the times I incorporated active testing and I did it properly over the few weeks before the exam. My number one suggestion for incorporating retrieval into your study routine, especially for people that are just starting with this whole study smart thing, is to stop making notes and make questions instead. Go through the information, and while you're understanding, make questions of the knowledge that you need to learn. This way, every time you come and revise that topic, you have a list of 20 to 30 questions that you can look at and actively test yourself on the revision that you did. I've been converting the information I need to know into questions for a long time now. So when I do this, I literally have to just go through the information, understand it, visualize it, and while I do that, I make questions side by side on my very first go through. If that works for you as well, where you can properly understand it and then make questions side by side, then go for it, life's easy. But I don't want you to make those questions and ignore the understanding part. So if you want to understand the information, properly encode it, visualize it in your head, then do that the first time. Go through it the first time like that, and then the second time, make questions. But the point point is that making questions takes 1/3 of the time that it would take you to make notes on all the information that you need to know. And you can use these questions for all the active testing that you need to do in all future revision sessions. However, when you do test yourself, it doesn't just mean that you give a quick glance to the question, think about it for a little bit, and then jump to the answer. It means actually trying to work through it and putting in effort, even when you don't know the answer. Because mental effort is the currency of learning and remembering the information. But yeah, if you have tried making questions and it hasn't worked for you, this is just one method of testing yourself. Almost any method where you're retrieving information will work. But I do think that creating questions is one of the fastest, easiest ways for me to test myself, because when I am reading that question, I don't have the answer just there that I can just click and take that shortcut. I have to go back to the textbook or the PowerPoint and look for that information. Find it within context of a paragraph somewhere, which really improves the way you understand it as well. So yeah, I do think there's a lot of benefits to creating questions rather than just making flashcards, but it depends on your preference. I talk about the benefits right here. The third pillar is the explanation effect. My cousins always play this why game with me, where I ask for something. The other day I asked for water. Why? Because I'm thirsty. Why? Because I've been running. Why? It's just a series of whys designed to piss me off. But on the few occasions that there is actual genuine curiosity behind that why, when they want to know about how a disease works or they want me to explain convection currents to them, the act of me formulating an answer in my head and articulating it in a way that caters to the audience that I'm giving that answer to really takes that information from being vaguely understood to 100% laid out in my head. And that's why teaching is the third pillar of studying smart. It's such a strong method to revise. Legit, go look yourself in the mirror and explain something to yourself in your head. Then wait, and then explain what you just explained out loud. Notice the difference. Notice the difference in how much better teaching out loud helps with your understanding. You don't really need anyone to teach, you can do it yourself. All effective teaching requires is you processing the information in your own words. And the thing is, I wish I did this more often, because anytime me and my friends went through a big topic or talked through something very complex, like the entire blood supply or nervous supply of the abdomen, we all walked away thinking, okay, wow, that is now kind of really well understood in my head. I just need to go away and memorize the specifics. When you're studying on your own, you get bogged down in the specifics and in your own way of learning, which is why so many of us just get stuck. Teaching improves that. It improves the way you encode information, because while we teach, we're breaking down and linking information in different ways in order to convey it better to others. Point is, make teaching a part of your study routine. After every 2 or 3 chapters, spend 15 to 20 minutes. That's it. Just teaching the main concept that you've just learned to yourself. Use analogies, mnemonics, make it memorable. It's this sort of small step during your studying that will really allow you to remember much more of what you learned in that first read through. These were the 3 main pillars of studying smart that I think would help anyone trying to level up their grades and improve the way they study. If you'd like to find out exactly how I study using these pillars in a 4-hour study session, then check this video out. This is going through everything that I think about, that I do, all the techniques and all the little small things that I've learned over the years that make that 4-hour study session effective. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. I really hope this has helped, and I'll see you in the next one.